Hi there, welcome to the second episode of Reading from Paula Bruce. First one was a podcast for Max Planck. We got to know from the eminent scientist Max Planck. Today we are picking up the very first chapter. Let's get the feel of how the book starts. Right? Chapter number 1, the name of the chapter is Electronic Structure and Bonding, Acids and Bases. Most of the times we pick up a book or drop a book based on the first paragraph of the book itself. If it has the amazing hook for the first 2 pages, you're all hooked for the chapters and for the entire book. Otherwise, if you do not like the first 2 paragraphs, no matter what beauty is written in the third paragraph, you would not want to read that. So let's do one thing, let's read the first 2 pages and find out what's written in Paula Bruce's first chapter. Here it goes. To stay alive, early humans must have been able to tell the difference between 2 kinds of material in their world. You can live on roots and berries, they might have said, but you can't live on dirt. You can stay warm by burning branches, but you can't burn rocks. By the 18th century, scientists thought they had grasped the nature of that difference, and in 1807, Johannes Jacob Berzelius gave names to the 2 kinds of materials. Compounds derived from living organisms were believed to contain an unmeasurable vital force, the essence of life. These he called organic. Compounds derived from minerals, those lacking the vital force, were inorganic. So we got the first definition from organic book, Paula Bruce. From the book we have understood that organic and inorganic compounds, what is the difference? Earlier, which was believed to be, was that organic compounds have vital forces, compounds those that have been made from the vital forces, and the inorganic compounds were those compounds which lack vital forces. So this theory was brought up by Berzelius. Now, of course, this has to be challenged. Let's see what it says then. Because chemists could not create life in the laboratory, they assumed they could not create compounds with a vital force. With this mindset, you can imagine how surprised chemists were in 1828 when Friedrich Wöhler produced an organic compound called urea by heating ammonium cyanate, a compound that did not come from a living organism. So ammonium cyanate, what is the formula? Ammonium, NH4, cyanate, OCN. So NH4OCN, look at the nitrogen it has 2 nitrogens, it has 4 hydrogens, 1 carbon and 1 oxygen. Exactly, this is what is needed for the making of urea, which was believed to be an organic compound, because the urea was something that everybody is capable, all the mammals are capable of producing in the uric acid. So the compound which is found in that urine is same as that compound which was formed in the lab without vital forces. So yeah, the urea Wöhler prepared was identical to the urea synthesized by mammals, even though he had prepared it by heating an inorganic salt. For the first time, an organic compound had been obtained from something other than a living system, and certainly without the aid of any kind of vital force. Clearly, chemists needed a new definition for organic compounds. Organic compounds are now defined as compounds that contain carbon. So, cut to chase, we have got the modern definition of organic chemistry. Chemistry based on carbon, organic compounds are carbon-containing compounds. Why is an entire branch of chemistry devoted to the study of the carbon-containing compounds? Valid question, yeah? First of all, the molecules that make life possible. Proteins, enzymes, vitamins, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids all contain carbon. So, the chemical reactions that take place in living systems, including our own bodies, are organic reactions. Second, we depend on organic compounds that occur in nature for our food, for many of our medicines, for our clothing, cotton, wool, silk, and for energy, natural gas, petroleum. So, just in 4 lines, we understood all the amazing uses if you think of carbon, right? What has been spoken about, that we have so many biomolecules like proteins, enzymes, vitamins, lipids, carbohydrates, nucleic acids, all of them have carbon. Then the second one is the chemical reactions that take place in living system are all carbon containing compound reactions and hence organic reactions. Second, we depend on organic compounds that occur in nature for our food, for many of our medicines. So just recently I have taken this mango wala ek video जिसके अंदर I explained that when we are talking about mangoes, they keep ripening even after being plucked. And how do they ripen? खुद ही naturally produce करता है इथीन, जिसको हम इथाइलिन गैस बोलते हैं, है ना? इथाइलिन गैस produce करता है हमारा mango khud. What is it? An organic reaction that has taken place inside the mango, which is responsible for the must taste of mangoes, right? कितना मीठा हो जाता है एकदम. Imagine एकदम खट्टा है, झुंझुनाहट होगी अगर आप वैसा आम खाओगे, एंड उसके बाद क्या हो जा रहा है? ऐसा कोई ऑर्गेनिक रिएक्शन हुआ कि प्रोड्यूस हो गई एक गैस जो रिस्पॉन्सिबल है मीठा टेस्ट. फलों का राजा माना जाता है आम, मीठा टेस्ट, ऑर्गेनिक रिएक्शन, राइट? सो ये एक चीज हो गई. उसके बाद फिर वो कह रहे कि हम जो कपड़े पहनते हैं, कॉटन, है ना, वूल, सिल्क, ये सब भी ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स हैं. नॉट जस्ट दैट, इनफैक्ट अगर हम देखें कि हम जब कम्यूट करते हैं एक जगह से दूसरी जगह, पेट्रोलियम के बिना हमारा जीवन वी कांट इवन इमेजिन. आधी बार सरकारें गिर जाती हैं पेट्रोल के रेट पर. तो समझ में आ रही ये बातें हमें, है ना, कि ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स का भाई कौन पीएम आएगा, कौन पीएम जाएगा, इसको भी डिसाइड करने का पावर रखता है हमारा ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड. सोचा है कभी ये? वाह, खूबसूरत. तो in addition to naturally occurring organic compounds, chemists have learned to synthesize millions of organic compounds never found in nature, including synthetic fabrics, plastics. ये सब भी organic है. Do not think that plastics is not organic. Here also we have, you will see polythene. It's a plastic. Polythene. The same ethene we had been talking about now is in the form of that polythene that you use to carry. तो वेस्ट सेग्रीगेशन तो इससे हाईलाइट कर ही सकते हैं हम कि जो ये प्लास्टिक वाला, ये दिस इज अ प्लास्टिक दैट आई हैव. ये जो प्लास्टिक वाली चीज़ें हैं, इसके अंदर पेपर एक है, इसके अंदर क्रोमेटोग्राफी पेपर है, बाय द वे, या यू कैन सी इट वंस अगेन. पैकिंग इस तरीके से है कि बाहर प्लास्टिक है, अंदर पेपर है. द पेपर दैट यू वेरी मच आर फेमिलियर विद, क्रोमेटोग्राफी पेपर. सो लेट्स गेट बैक टू द पॉइंट कि ये सब जो सिंथेटिक चीज़ें, ये भी ऑर्गेनिक है क्योंकि ये भी कार्बन कंटेनिंग है. जो भी सिंपल सी परिभाषा है, डू नॉट गो बाय द मॉडर्न स्लैंग नॉलेज ऑफ ऑर्गेनिक दैट हैज़ बीन रोलिंग अराउंड. कि क्या होता है ऑर्गेनिक? भाई पेस्टिसाइड्स हमने नहीं डाले हैं, इंसेक्टिसाइड्स हमने नहीं डाले, हमने नेचुरल कंपाउंड्स यूज़ करके बनाया है, वो चीज़ को ऑर्गेनिक बोला जा रहा है. बट ऑर्गेनिक की परिभाषा बहुत ही सिंपल है, बहुत ही सरल है. टेक्निकल ऑर्गेनिक की डेफिनेशन क्या है? कार्बन कंटेनिंग. ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री, कार्बन कंटेनिंग केमिस्ट्री, स्टडी ऑफ द कार्बन कंटेनिंग कंपाउंड्स, एंड ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड्स आर कार्बन कंटेनिंग कंपाउंड्स. कार्बन कंटेनिंग, और एज सिंपल एज दैट. ओके, नाउ many of these synthetic compounds prevent shortages of naturally occurring products. Now, do not think that polythene and other plastics are a bane to the society. Do not think that. Something that cannot be. Now, imagine if you do not have plastic bags. You would have been using, let's say, आपको एक भंडारा करना है. भंडारा करने के लिए किसी में तो खाना डाल के देंगे आप. दो पॉसिबिलिटीज़ है, पत्तल में देंगे आप या प्लास्टिक में दे रहे हैं आप. तो पत्तल में जब दे रहे हैं, अगर हर बारी इस तरीके से बिना प्लास्टिक को बचाते हुए पत्तल में ही हर चीज़ बांटी जाएगी, इमेजिन, तो दैट इज़ अगेन डिफॉरेस्टेशन. आपको पेपर चाहिए रहेगा, पेपर के लिए आपको पेड़ काटना पड़ेगा. तो एक बहुत ही बड़ी विक्शियस साइकिल है. तो हर चीज़ प्रोवाइड, हम ये कहते हैं कि हर चीज़ प्रोवाइड नहीं कर सकती नेचर, तो हमें सब्स्टिट्यूट्स चाहिए. और आपको पता ही है कि हमने कितना इस्तेमाल किया है इस तरीके के सिंथेटिक फाइबर्स का कोविड के टाइम में जो हम शील्ड थी, है ना, पीपी शील्ड, जो पूरा का पूरा रबर्स और जितने भी ग्लव्स और जो भी ये पूरे सूट्स थे, ये सब जो पूरे प्रोटोकॉल सब जगह फॉलो हो रहे थे, अगर आपने कोविड टेस्ट कराया तो हर चीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा जो सिंथेटिक चीज़ें हैं उनकी मदद से बचाई गई थी. तो डू नॉट लुक एट देम एज इविल्स, दे आर वेरी मच इम्पॉर्टेंट, राइट. अच्छा, many of these synthetic compounds prevent shortages of naturally occurring products. For example, it has been estimated that if synthetic materials were not available for clothing, all of the arable land in the United States would have been used for the production of cotton and wool just to provide enough material for clothing. Do you understand? This is grave. If we just had to meet the demands of people by cotton clothes, everybody was wearing cotton clothes, then if you consider US, they're saying that all the arable land in the US would have to be used for the production of cotton and wool just to provide enough material for clothing. What makes carbon so special? Now some serious questions coming up, and these are the kind of the questions that you get directly in your UPSC mains exams also. Directly you can get a question like this, and say you would have to write a long answer for 16 marks. The question is very simple. What makes carbon so special? Why are there so many carbon containing compounds? So it's a two question in one. Two questions. What makes carbon so special? Why are there so many carbon containing compounds? How would you start? Now it's a pretty question. Think of this scenario wherein an interviewer is asking the interviewee, what makes carbon so special? Why are there so many carbon containing compounds? You know the answer. You know tetravalence, you know catenation, you know carbon has a unique position. But how do you start? The first statement makes a difference, and the book chooses to write this way. The answer lies in carbon's position in the periodic table. Carbon is in the center of the second row of elements. The atoms to the left of carbon have a tendency to give up electrons, whereas the atoms to the right have a tendency to accept electrons. Because carbon is in the middle, it neither readily gives up nor readily accepts electrons. Instead, it shares electrons. Not only can it share electrons with several different kinds of atoms, it can also share electrons with other carbon atoms, allowing the formation of a wide variety of chain-like molecules. Because carbon can share electrons with atoms other than carbon adds to the range of stable carbon-containing compounds. Consequently, carbon is able to form millions of stable compounds with a wide range of chemical properties simply by sharing electrons. That's what is special, yeah? When we study organic chemistry, we study how organic compounds react. When an organic compound reacts, old bonds break and new bonds form. Bonds form when two atoms share electrons, and bonds break when two atoms no longer share electrons, right? Bond is there when two people are staying together. No bond is there when the two people have left, right? The bond breaks when the two atoms stop sharing. Okay. Bonds form when two atoms share electrons, and bonds break when two atoms no longer share electrons. How readily a bond forms and how easily it breaks depends on the particular electrons that are shared, which in turn depends on the atoms to which the electrons belong. So if we are going to start our study on organic compounds, at the beginning, we must start with an understanding of the structure of an atom and how the electrons in that atom are distributed. That was the first 2 pages. The next topic is structure of atom. We need to have a little knowledge of the structure of atom. You can do the entire structure of atom chapter along with the first chapter of organic chemistry. This is the beauty. This is the sheer beauty. So yeah, I'll pick up another excerpt in my next episode. Till then, keep following Rasayan Prayogshala, and do let me know how did you find the content in the comments below. Thank you.